This is Heavy Conversation with Bruce and Jody, a podcast where we talk about being a big guy in today's world. I'm Bruce. And I'm Jody. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. All right, here we go.
Hey, Jody.
What's up, Bruce?
Oh man, it's been an interesting week for the big and tall industry. Also just to take a step back, it's been an interesting morning for me. You know, I normally record in the garage, here at my house, and I went out to get set up, and there's a smell that drove me out.
Oh,
now I have no idea what the smell is. I've narrowed it down. It does not smell like you know, I use my garage a lot. I work out there. I play drums. I've got my bass. You know, I'm out there regularly. I was out there last night. There was no smell. You know, I keep it relatively clean, so it's not like, you know, there's not trash hanging around, whatever.
Something crawled in and died in there.
It doesn't smell like death. It doesn't smell like trash. It's like gas.
Hot soup.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, it was like maybe a little bit like I don't know, kind of like a fart was the closest I could get. Okay. But even that, there's something off. So after we're done here, you know, safety first, I'm going to go out and make sure that, you know, see if the smell's coming from outside, try to track down what's happening. The rest of the house,
and let it out.
Totally. Rest of the house is fine. So,
all right.
So here we are. I'm recording in the dining room. So,
good too.
Yes. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week for the big and tall industry. We got confirmation that Australian retailer Johnny Bigg is ending their US website. So they won't be selling directly to the US customer anymore.
That's crazy.
And it kind of came as a surprise. So we thought we'd talk a little about that. I've worked with Johnny Bigg through Chubster multiple times. And, you know, this is kind of a thing that you and I have talked about for years and years, kind of the industry where it's going, how new brands show up, how they disappear, what we think they should be doing, and maybe what we're not seeing out there. I will say there's an article on Chubster.com that I wrote that kind of covers the general, hey, Johnny Bigg's closing their US site. Why are they doing this? They haven't come out and said specifically, these are the reasons that we're closing down.
Okay.
But if you know, in my job as a non-journalist, I went through and, you know, did a little research, kind of looked at the big things that could be causing, you know, issues and sort of where Johnny Bigg as a business is at. And, you know, so we've got a few ideas. You know, we can kind of go through some of that stuff until they come out and say, hey, this is the reason.
Right.
We're kind of just guessing.
Yeah. I mean, that could be all the crazy tariff things. You know, I mean, who knows? But that's really unfortunate. They've got some really cool things.
Yeah. So just a kind of a little background on Johnny Bigg. They are an Australian retailer. They are kind of like a DXL for Australia. You know, they have stores around the country. They, you know, they do very well with the product that they offer there, and they, you know, wanted to expand that into the US, which makes a lot of sense because there's real opportunity here, and we need more options. And so they saw that. They built out the process and kind of went from there. The cool thing about Johnny Bigg is that they are legitimately a big and tall brand, and they offer sizes large to 8X. So they run the spectrum. They've got clothes that how would you describe kind of the style or quality or any of that if you're looking at
Um,
it?
I mean, I think they have kind of a runs the spectrum because I mean, they've got like casual clothing, they've got some like suiting and blazers, but you know, it's kind of they run the spectrum, but it's really trendy stuff. You know, they've
Yeah.
got some nice prints and patterns and styles and all that kind of stuff. So I've been excited. I've ordered a number of times from them, and even one of my roommates, he's a big fan. He gets stuff from them all the time. I'm a little jealous. He gets stuff all the time from them. So actually, I don't even know if he knows that they're closing down. So I might have to
Oh yeah, right.
let him know and be like, "Hey, you better go stock up for whatever for a while." But yeah, they've got a lot of good options, and I'm sad to see that they're going away.
Yeah, as far as styles go, they were definitely a little more fashion forward, stylish, and thoughtful in kind of what they put together. It reminds me a little bit of, there's definitely a at least when I look at some of the stuff, it's like a non-US vibe, so almost like I mean, I guess Australian, but almost like a European feel to some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And a little closer to like as far as style goes, it reminded me a little of kind of fast fashion sort of stuff with the
Yeah.
trends where it's kind of interesting stuff that isn't exactly the trends that you're seeing in kind of the mainstream, but it's like cool, different kind of product. I will say that their prices and the quality that I experienced was not like fast fashion level. It was higher than that. So it just kind of gave me those vibes. And there has definitely been a place for that in the industry. So that's kind of where they're at. I know that initially when they launched, they were offering sizes to 9X, and
Mhm.
I think they brought it down to 8. So yeah, that's kind of where they were at. And they opened their US site back in 2020, at the very beginning of 2020. Like, I'm looking at the article on Chubster that I initially wrote with the feature that I did with them, and it was January 22nd, 2020. So right before the pandemic, perfect time to start a new business.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, I mean, they definitely um I mean, you can't obviously predict any of that stuff, but they have some really great stuff, and they were using, more, I wouldn't say real big and tall, but they would had bigger than normal models on their websites and their ads and stuff like that. So that was definitely nice to see. They had some diversity on their website, which is good to see. But um, one of my comments is that they need to show much bigger bodies to show that they actually are doing those big and tall, because we want to see what it looks like on an actual guy with a belly like I have. So, but that's something that I say for every brand. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think one of the things that I really liked about them is that they like you said, they're using models that are bigger, but they kind of went a little more. They weren't really as willing to dip their toe into the shorter, rounder guys as much as
Right.
they were kind of the more proportionate. The guys that the models they used on their sites were a little more traditional model-y, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and I think that is something that I would have loved to see them kind of try to, change and incorporate. It wasn't something that they did. I think that I will say that Johnny Bigg did they did a lot of outreach to influencers. I know there were a lot of influencers and a lot of people on social media and all that were doing would get their product. I know they were doing sponsorships and they were involved in lots of different events, and they did really put that effort in. I think that whenever you are dealing with a bigger company, and I mean, make no mistake, this is corporate. Like if you would look at a DXL, I know that when I started Chubster, DXL was a very different kind of business,
Mhm.
catering to guys in their 50s and 60s, very, ex-football player models, a very different kind of thing. And over time, they realized that, changing who they were trying to, not changing, but expanding who they were trying to reach, who their target customer was, made a big difference. And that also meant changing the model, and I think Johnny Bigg, they've got good models, and there are a couple guys that are models for them that I follow that are doing that work with other brands and do other things. I just feel like there's something there that connection didn't really click, at least for me as a customer, like it does with other brands.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, so like I said, I wrote an article this past week about they're shutting down, and kind of what we thought the reasons for that were. And we can kind of talk about some of these things. A big one is the obvious, that the market is tough. They entered the market, and it's very competitive with, just like, if you're coming in and you're trying to, and you're trying to be the biggest in the market, you have to contend with DXL, which is well established, has stores across the country, really has it down. I think that is a difficult place to be. And it's hard to imagine that in the near future, anybody is going to come around and, really try to, that we're going to get anything new that's going to try and, push back, take some of that dominance away. So, it's hard. I mean, they just didn't get the kind of attention that I think some of these brands need. And again, we always talk about it, but it's like, it's hard to get the word out about a new Big and Tall brand if you're not, if everything isn't perfect. It's difficult. I mean, you've got to be able to market, you've got to be able to get the community, you've got to have the right branding, the right look, the product, obviously, first and foremost, needs to be there. All of those things need to come together. And I think if you can't do that, and you don't have a real, like, specific niche, that it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they had a lot of competition in the market. And yeah, I don't know that they could, that they were really getting their name out there enough.
Right.
Like when you just have kind of those normal, what I air quote, normal size guys, it doesn't show that you're anything really that different. And weren't they working with one, like a more major retailer, like a Bloomingdale's or somebody like that, or something like that?
Yeah, so they had actually started a partnership earlier this year, which is what makes this even more surprising, is that they started a partnership with Belk department stores, where they actually had a retail presence in Belk stores. So that was something that just started earlier this year. So that made this even more of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super familiar with that store, but
Sure. Yeah, right. It does make me wonder, would, something like a Nordstrom have been different? I mean, maybe not. It's so hard to tell, because we've seen this in the past where Big and Tall will be in retail stores, but these companies don't do a good job of getting the word out about that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
nobody goes to the stores.
Yeah, and
When
they don't order the bigger sizes either. They just order kind of their traditional sizing that the store would carry. So
right. And you really have to strategize and plan the thing out if you want to have a store presence and get people there, because they just don't know. You don't expect to be able to go into a store and find a 4X or something. And
yeah,
so if you're not getting the word out about that and really hitting it consistently, not a one-off, hey, we've got this stuff, good luck. That doesn't help. You have to be on it, and it has to be a regular thing. So it's that whole strategy around getting the word out. And if they're not doing that, then what are you going to do? That said, this Belk partnership had only been going for a couple months, it sounds like. So it's hard to imagine that was, the deciding factor.
yeah, no,
Another thing that I bring up in the article is that retail in general is really tough right now. It's kind of along the lines of what we were just talking about. Is Johnny Bigg's parent company in Australia? They had been dealing with slowing sales, store closures, some issues that a lot of companies are dealing with right now. And with tariffs, with the kind of where the world's at, it's an easier sell for a company to focus on what they know will work, as opposed to expanding into something that they're unsure about. So I can see that. I guess the last thing, and one issue that kind of plays into yet another thing that we constantly talk about, is the fact that the customer experience has to really be there. If you want to do this right, the product has to be great. The customer experience, the customer service, it really has to be there, and you have to have it down. And as I was researching this and putting together this latest article, I did see that there were some places where customers were disappointed about the whole thing, but they were also commenting about inconsistent sizing, customer service issues. And I can say, and if you look back at some of the Johnny Bigg articles on Chubster, I specifically call out that you need to know your size, because they're 1X to 8X or 9X is not equivalent to maybe what you would be wearing from a DXL or from another place where you have your size established. So I know that those kind of things were issues, and that can always be a problem. If somebody thinks, hey, I'm a 3X, and they order something in a 3X and it doesn't fit, then there you go. It's not going to work. It's going to hurt the brand. And I think that is definitely something that can be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny Bigg's not even that old of a company. It says that they were founded in 2014.
Wow.
So they're not, but it says they have 325 stores. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
But the parent company also has another brand, AXL and Co. And they also do big sizes. They go XL to 7X. So,
oh wow,
maybe I'm not sure, but I haven't heard of that one at all. So I don't know that that's even. It's probably not available here, or I don't know how that works when you have an Australian company. They probably do ship here, but
right.
That doesn't. It seems like that's weird to have two different companies kind of doing. I mean, that AXL and Co. is
right.
a little different style wise, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm looking at it now, and I see. Yeah, it definitely looks as though it's just Australia based, and yeah, I don't know. It's another thing that's a similar issue to what Destination XL had back in the day, when it was Casual Mail and Rochester, and all of those different brands that they realized, okay, we've got all these big and tall stores that we've purchased. We need to make one thing. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah, maybe that's where they're headed, but I don't know. I did reach out to Johnny Bigg. I reached out to my contacts there to see if they wanted to give me a quote, give any additional information, and I have not heard back. There's a line in the article, obviously, if they respond, I will update the article, but as of now, I've not heard anything. So that's kind of where it stands. It is a bummer to lose another big and tall brand when we don't have a lot of options. But, I'm glad that we got them for the 5 or so years that we got them. And if you need some new clothes, go to johnnybigg.com before they shut down, because right now they're doing a closing down sale. Nothing is over $40.
Great. Yeah. I'm like, add to basket, add to cart, add this
totally. Yeah, exactly. And it's
because it says they are final sale, no returns, but
right.
I think I have myself fine now. So
yes, as I said, make sure that if you're gonna go there and you're gonna buy things, and I would recommend that you do, go to the site, look at their size guide. They've got it up at the top of the site. There's a link to it, so you can click that and you can see, it's got everything there. Breaks down different product types. Look at all that. Make sure you know your sizes and then order, because final sale. So if you buy something, it doesn't fit, you're stuck with it. So make sure
like $15 also.
Right.
So I know,
right.
I mean, my budget's pretty tight on spending for new clothes, but I definitely, the one, or I have like 3 pairs of shorts. One of them I just ripped the other day in the crotch. So that one's going away. So I'm like, all right, it's 80 and humid. I need shorts. So
yep, absolutely. So take a look, johnnybigg.com. We will miss you. And hopefully maybe someday in the future, though, they will try it again.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be a little while before someone else, like you said, does anything, but
I think we are seeing there are smaller brands that are out there that are doing extended sizes. One of the things that I'm loving about Instagram right now is all of my ads are for these like independent brands that offer like 4X, 5X, 6X that I have never heard of, and I'm always looking for this stuff. So,
right.
It's doing a good job of getting those things in front of me, and it's cool to see that kind of stuff is out there. It's cool that they're running campaigns. So I'm going to be writing more about those kinds of brands as we move forward. So hopefully we'll have some more resources, because we definitely need them.
Yeah, let us know if you're seeing a new brand out there, and send it to us on Instagram, or put it in our DMs. Let us know,
right?
So we can check them out. Maybe we can do some reviews on some of these new brands and let you know what we think. We're the experts in it all.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear what are your favorite brands right now? What are you seeing out there that's not getting enough love? So on and so forth. So yeah,
I'd love to know. I need some.
All right. Yes. So it is beer time for our latest adult beverage, and I have one that I've been saving for a couple weeks, specifically for the show, because it was a special edition beer. So this beer is from Deschutes Brewery, but it is a partnership, a collaboration with Patagonia Provisions.
Oh,
yeah. So Patagonia and Deschutes partnered on a beer called Kernza Lager. It says bright, crisp, wildly drinkable. And it is, let's see here. It says the climate could use a beer. Industrial agriculture hasn't exactly been easy on our climate. So why give it a break? So why not give it a break? So why give it a break?
Why even drink?
That's right. We brew this lager with regenerative organic certified rye, organic hops, barley, and kernza, a soil saving, carbon capturing perennial grain. Here's to the future. So,
Okay.
yeah, let's see what it tastes like.
It's got some decent reviews on Untapped.
Okay. Oh yeah, it is like a very drinkable summer beer. Like if you were camping or hiking or somewhere, out in the middle of nowhere, and you broke this beer out, as you were taking a break, this is the kind of beer that you would drink. It's really good, very drinkable, very very easy to drink, flavorful. Actually, I'm surprised. I didn't expect it to be as drinkable as it is.
Nice.
So yeah, that is that's a pretty good one. Kernza Lager. It's Kernza Lager. But obviously, if you look for Patagonia,
Mm-hmm.
Deschutes, that kind of thing, you will find the beer and kind of go from there. So yeah, it's Deschutes, and Deschutes is based here in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm a big Deschutes fan. I love them. You can get those. I mean, Deschutes is I'm pretty sure it's nationally available because it's out here too. So
nice.
I don't know if all of them are, but yeah. So I have a local Chicago beer from Beguile Brewing. It's called Beguile Blonde. It's real fancy. American Blonde Ale brewed with honey. Brewed with locally sourced Midwestern honey, our blonde ale is clean and balanced with subtle fruity notes in the fermentation profile and a dry finish. Pure drinkable goodness.
Nice.
So, a very nice, light, summery ale for sure on this warm summer day. Finally.
Yes. So, yeah, I will actually drink this. I'm feeling this. I'm gonna hang out on the deck, which I have been cleaning like a madman. Now that it's warm and the rain has stopped, I've gotten out there and I'm doing all that kind of stuff around the house, like all the yard, the landscaping, the yard work, cleaning up the deck, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is a beer that I will kick back in the hammock. I just realized I could actually work on my laptop from the hammock.
You could.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I mean, or you could just be in the hammock.
I guess. It's it's kind of that busy season. It's like I'm there's so much to do right now, and I'm like, how can I relax and enjoy myself while also being productive?
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Got to change up the work environment a little bit from the unsure smelling office garage to the hammock outside on a beautiful day. I think
yes. For real. I'll tell you what, I'm definitely not working in the garage today. I'm gonna have to go and figure out what is happening out there. At first I was thinking, so my youngest turns 6 this weekend. And
geez, really?
Yes. And he's of course made a list of things that he would like for his birthday, and one of the things on the list that he's been asking for it for months, and we've been like, no, we're not going to do this, no, because it's going to be worse for us than it is for you. There's a lot of those gifts where it's like, I'd like
being loud things,
right. So it's like, I want a dog, I want a kitten. I'm like, we've already got a cat. So he took a step down from kitten, which was still and is still on his list. As of this morning, he was like, my aunt's gonna get me a kitten. We're like, no, she's not.
Well, good.
That kitten has
one.
Yeah, he's
A toy cat.
Right. Yeah. That if only that would work. So he's also been asking for fart spray.
Oh, did he find
Yes.
some? And
Yeah, thanks to YouTube Kids, I'm sure he came across it, and so he's been asking about it, and we've been like, no, because that's just a horrible idea for 1,000 reasons. And then my oldest child reminded me that he had some when he was younger that we got for him at some point. So yeah, so he got an early birthday present over the past weekend, and good Lord, like it's had to stay outside. It has to be stored outside. It's a nightmare. It's really.
That's not the smell in the garage.
That is not the smell in the garage,
Okay.
which I mean, I'm happy about that because the smell in the garage is bad, but it's not that bad. It's not fart spray bad.
Okay.
So
I'm not experienced, and I don't know that I want to.
No, you don't. Believe me, you don't. He waited until I was eating dinner and then ran up to me with it. Didn't spray me, just like waved it around near me, and we were done with the fart spray for the night. Anyway, there we go. That's basically all I've got. If anything changes next week, I'll come back with an update on the Johnny Bigg saga and where that stands.
And whatever that smell is.
And whatever that smell is, hopefully I will track it down.
Best of luck. Maybe go outside or just open the garage and let it air out for a little while first.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Jody.
Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Heavy Conversation. Be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your
podcasts.